Well, g'day there, everybody. Thanks a lot for joining me on this Wednesday afternoon market recap. We do have some interesting signals setting up, most noticeably on the Dow Jones Industrial Average. Over the past 2 days, we have seen a rather aggressive pop on this market. However, what has happened, and finally to conclude what we have been waiting for ever since March and April of this calendar year, is that we have come on up and we have closed definitively now this open window up at 26,435. If you pay attention to today's candlestick, you can see we actually tagged this intra-session. We were trading up just shy of 200 points. We've pulled on back down. I believe we closed at about 152, but we're starting to see the development of that up wick. Now, this is way too premature to really take anything away from it. The best news from this is finally that magnet itself is over. This long withdrawn period, this stumble, this grind, this rather frail collective movement higher is done, or at least we've closed the gap and now we are up very close to our resistance areas. Now, what makes this important, or at least noticeable, is that we're really not seeing all that much confirmation when it comes to other markets. Most noticeably is that of the NASDAQ. So as we have seen that of a pop on the Dow Jones over and throughout Tuesday and Wednesday just here with these two candlesticks, which makes us very, very happy. When we have a look at the NASDAQ, we haven't really seen any follow through whatsoever. This is Monday's candlestick. It was that long day Morobozu. This is where we put out the video saying that the NASDAQ was in a critical area. The reason it is critical is because we have this resistance turn support. And essentially what happens here, where X marks the spot, is going to dictate the future for the market over the coming maybe possibly 1 if not 2 months moving forward. So we haven't really seen a true directional break off from this level, whether it is going to be a pop which takes us above 8,137, or if we're going to see that of a breakdown which would take us below 7,789. That is still undecided. And the reason I'm so excited about these markets right now is because, again, the Dow has closed its window. It's the last market to do so. And as it is done so, it's rallying back up into resistance that is being retested for the first time in about 7 months. Meanwhile, we've got the NASDAQ, which is looking potentially to break below this intermediate trend line, which does sync up quite nicely with the Dow. And when we take a look at the S&P 500, it has been probably, of the three markets, the strongest. However, we're still yet to break above its respective swing high. So as we look at these markets, there are a couple of criteria that we need to both trade bullish and bearish. First of all, when it comes to the bullish argument, you want to see all three markets in agreement. So there's no point taking out long trades on these markets at the moment. Why? Because simply the S&P isn't above its swing high, nor is the NASDAQ. The NASDAQ is quite a long distance away from its swing high. And this is the first time that the Dow Jones has actually revisited those old January, calendar swing highs as well. And there's a very good chance that this is going to act as multi-month resistance once again up on here at resistance. So there's no point jumping into a bunch of long trades, even though, again, there is a lot of sentiment out there. Very bullish, I must admit, on the markets at the moment, but again, we're still not seeing true directional commitment. So wait for all three markets to be in confirmation before taking any long trades, and the same is true, at least on the downside as well. When I say to the downside, it's more so the NASDAQ definitively breaking below this trend line and support area that it is currently sitting on. If it was to break below this swing low, close below this little swing low in price action, and then move below 7789, well, then the NASDAQ is most likely going to lead the Dow and the S&P 500 lower. And as I say this, I told you I was going to speak about some of our shares when I saw some interesting signals. Well, this is the signal on Boeing Airlines as at today's candlestick. Let me just ask you the question first of all. Can anyone point out what this candlestick is on Boeing Airlines just here? We've been waiting for this. We've been talking about this. I thought it would actually show up at about 360, 358, 360 around this area. It popped a little bit yesterday on Tuesday, and today we have a very, very long upper wick. We have a very small white body candlestick, and it is showing up very close to a resistance area. All right, if I zoom out and show you this, you can see that we've overshot this little swing high here, or this little resistance, but we are still yet to push above this all-time high on Boeing Airlines. You can see we're very close again. We have overshot once, or in the past anyway, another resistance area, but this itself right here is an extremely strong reversal candlestick on Boeing Airlines. Now, we don't have confirmation, but that is the first major signal, again, that has shown up this week, around the area, which is telling us that there is a very good chance, as crazy as this may sound to people, that we may come on all the way down to $322.88 over the coming weeks, if not coming months. So I'm not prepared at the moment to bring this trigger up. When we see confirmation in the markets, I will do such a thing. We pay attention to tech. You can see that a lot of the FANGs anyway, as you can probably imagine just by looking through engaging, the actual NASDAQ haven't really gone anywhere. If I go to the weekly chart, you can see this is Apple. Week to date, Monday through Wednesday, we are down $5.47. So we're not really seeing any major pops. This is 1, 2, and now we're more or less sitting on the neckline. It's going to be interesting to see which way Apple moves. Moving forward, we've got a very similar pattern under construction on Amazon. If I go to the weekly chart, we're down $43 Monday through Wednesday. I've already recapped Boeing Airlines. This is at resistance. Shooting star, if I bring up these oscillators, you can see that we are pushing back up into overbought. I don't think I need to talk all that much more about that. Actually, a couple of stocks here. Let me skip by it. Let me go into Caterpillar. Caterpillar has taken off, which is fantastic. We actually tagged 151.92 today. So I received a few emails from people who hadn't rolled out of this trade during this period of time just here, and I wrote back just congratulating you, and I genuinely mean that. Congratulations for holding. You had more patience than what I did, but you've been able to actually hold this up to 152. I thought it wasn't going to come because the Dow was just looking so weak and so sluggish as it was pushing up to actually close its all-time high, or at least that opening window. But now you can see the benefit of how these are, again, somewhat layered, very close to one another, very synchronized. You can see that we've closed this window. That's why we have this 151.92 sort of target on my screen. It was to close this window, and this is great because a lot of the time, or the majority of the time, we've been waiting for a bunch of these stocks to close these windows, which was in alignment with the Dow, and it's worked out essentially to the date. So this is rather incredible that it has coincided as closely as what it has, but you should be out of Caterpillar at the moment, or at least rolling out of a majority of positions right now on Caterpillar. Baidu is trying to put in that of what appears to be a double or a triple bottom. I don't think it's a genuine one, but there is a chance, as we've thought about in the past, that we are going to rally to 245. Don't really have a vested interest in Baidu whatsoever at the moment. I was in this, out of it. I'm thinking about getting back in, but at the moment, I'm waiting for the markets to give those confirmation signals, bullish or bearish, before it really dictates to me which direction I want to trade this market. That's really what's at stake. We've got COP, which did establish that of a shooting star on Monday, or a pseudo shooting star, but we're seeing a little bit of a consecutive push above this on Tuesday, and also during today's session, up another 49 cents. No major position in COP. If I bring up that of the ADX and the CCI, they both like this type of move. But at the same time, I'm not really all that convinced on the overall structure of the market. Also with CVX, it does look to be pushing back up definitively into that 120 area. We're very close to that now, so it's going to be interesting to see whether we do see another sort of resistance area develop around this pivot. Pay close attention to this. It's going to move very quickly if the market moves aggressively to the downside, or even to the upside breakout, but I'm not really expecting that. Google is very close to continuing its bearish movement. It looks like it's pushing downward out of this stair-step continuation type of pattern. I've got IBM, which is trying to push like Caterpillar as well. Not as aggressive. We're very close to hitting 150.93. I would be out of this. 100%. I would be out of IBM. It's not looking all that good. It's not really getting all that much of a grind going. And because of that, I'd just be oscillating out of it. We do have better trades outside of IBM. That is for certain. We've got Netflix pushing back up for the third time into this resistance area. It does look like a little bit of an ascending triangle, although it's not technically true because it is only factoring in at least 1 month of data. That's simply not enough. And to conclude with, we've got Tesla, which got very close to breaking down yesterday. We did see a little rebound today, up $14, but on very, very small volume. So this is looking as though it's going through the kiss of that 300 pivot, trading at 299 at the moment. If we see these markets, especially the NASDAQ, break below this support area, and I know it hasn't happened yet, but there's a very, very real opportunity that it is going to happen, you're going to see a lot of selling pressure unfortunately flow through to a bunch of these individual companies. Okay, so that's going to do us as at this Wednesday afternoon market recap. If you have any questions, please email me. Outside of that, though, enjoy your Wednesday evening. I'll be back with you tomorrow for another market recap. All the best, everyone. Goodbye.